name is Jordan, and today I'm going to be talking about my favorite fantasy books of this year. Since I've read a lot of fantasy books, I decided to talk about all of them that became my favorites. And of course, it's the first day of Bookmas. I decided to do Bookmas on the last minute because everybody else has been doing their own Bookmas. So let's get started. So these aren't in particular order, but the first one is The Book Jumper by, I still can't pronounce the author, I'm sorry. So, what I like about this book is this would be for any readers, especially like if it reminds you of Inkheart. I have not read Inkheart, but I've seen the movie, and I know pretty sure everybody doesn't like the movie, but this book's about this girl who just discovered that she's a book jumper after moving from Germany to Scotland, and she trains to be a book jumper and interact with the characters. I think every reader should read this. This is one of the underrated books that I've read this year, and it's a really good book, and I highly recommend it to everybody who's looking for an underrated read. The next one I'm going to be talking about is Long May She Reign by Renan Thompson. This fantasy book is really interesting because this girl who is 27th line on the throne, I think, 23rd. I was way off, and she was not meant to be queen, but then she ends up becoming queen after her whole family gets poisoned, and I really like Freya's character. Again, is that her name? Yeah, Freya. And she's a scientist, which makes her really different from all the other female protagonists in a fantasy setting, which I really like, and I love the mystery behind it because you're clearly she's trying to find out who poisoned her family, and I just love this book. This is also underrated. I have not seen anybody talk about this book except for Haley from Haley and Bookland. I know she also enjoyed it, and this is also a good audiobook to listen to if you're looking for another audiobook, and again, this is also underrated. The next book I'm going to be talking about is The Wicked Deed by Shreya Earnshaw. I love this book so much. I'm not sure if this is going to be in my top list for my favorite books this year, but I think it's going to be on that list because I read this within 3 days. I could not put it down, and it's amazing. And I know I've heard some people that didn't like it, but I really like it, especially when it reminds me of Hocus Pocus a lot, and I would highly recommend it to anybody who's looking for another witchy read or books to read around Halloween, because I think this would be a perfect Halloween read just because how short it is. It's like 300 pages, I think. Yeah, almost 300 pages. So it's definitely a really good read, and I think this book has been on top of my list. Plus, the cover's beautiful, and so is under the jacket. Oh my gosh, it's beautiful underneath. You guys have to read this. This is a really good book, and I recommend this to anybody. The next book that I'm be talking about is Kingdom Keepers Disney After Dark by Ridley Pearson. This book, I love it because it takes place in Disney World where kids interact with the characters and they're solving the mystery. Because when they go to sleep, they end up in Disney World. I forgot what the program is called. They call it Daylight Hologram Imaging. Okay, it's been a while since I've read this, and this makes me miss Disney World because I love Disney World, and they mentioned a lot of attractions and parks that had old names and not the new names, and I was like, oh my gosh, I remember this. So I recommend this to any Disney fan and anybody who's looking for a short read. I know this took me like about a week to read this, I think, but I was busy with school, so that's why it took me longer. But it's pretty short, so I'm pretty sure that anybody should read this within hours. Especially if you're a Disney fan, you would get a lot of references in this book. The next book I'm going to be talking about is The Neverland Wars by Audrey Greenhouse. This is a Peter Pan retelling, and this book is so underrated. You guys should read it. There's 3 books in the series. I have not read the last book. I need to so badly. I've read this within 3 days, same as the sequel, The Piper's Price, and oh my gosh, people need to read it. This is a different Peter Pan retelling I've ever read, and I think this is one of my favorites so far, especially when there's war between Neverland and the real world, and oh my gosh, you guys, you need to read this. This Peter Pan retelling will be worth the read, but they're not available in stores, so you have to get them online, like through Amazon or Barnes & Noble or any of the websites that you guys go to. This is definitely my top 10 list because it's the best. Oh my gosh, I recommend this to anybody who's looking for another retelling, and if you love Peter Pan like I do, this is one of the best ones I've read. The next book that I read is Diary of the Burning City by Amanda Foody. This definitely reminds me of Carvel a bit, but it's definitely different because it's about this girl who creates illusions, but her illusions end up getting murdered, so there's a mystery behind this fantasy novel, and I end up loving it so much, and I'm like, literally, I have trouble narrowing down like which books would be my favorite this year. This is going to be really hard for me, especially when there's some fantasy books that I really enjoyed, and if you're looking for a circus fantasy book like and also if you like Carvel, you should definitely read this. It's a really good read, and I definitely want to read more Amanda Foody's books. The next book that I'm going to be talking about is Fox by Nadine Brendes. This is a really different fantasy book that I've ever read. I know I gave this 4 stars. It's still a good read. So it's about this historical fantasy book about this boy or the society where everybody has to wear specific masks to hide that they're caught by a plague where people turn into stone, and this boy Thomas wants to find a cure for it because he caught it, and then the story goes from there. I really enjoyed it. Plus, the cover is really beautiful, especially I like how they use the landscape for London. I think it takes place in London. I know it does. Yeah, it takes place in England. So if you're looking for historical fantasy that takes place in the 17th century, I definitely would recommend this book, especially when they have a fantasy twist on it, because I really enjoyed it. And I know, like, the reason I gave it 4 stars because part of it was a slow read, but it was still worth reading, and I enjoyed it a lot. The next book that I'm talking about is Sea Witch by Sarah Henning. Oh my gosh, I've read this for the Fairy Tale-a-thon, and I'll link the blog down below and all of it. And there's going to be a second round of Fairy Tale-a-thon, but I'm going to do an announcement video like sometime this month, and it's probably not going to be released until January, so look out for that. But this was our group book, and it's a retelling of The Little Mermaid, obviously, and it's about the Sea Witch, obviously, by the title. Oh my gosh, I read this in 3 days, and I cried at the end, because I know I expected the ending, but I still cried. I was like, why? And I literally have to tell everybody that I recommend it, but you're going to need tissues to prepare, because I cried at the end, and I'm pretty sure that everybody else would. This definitely is becoming one of my favorites, and I definitely want to reread because I love it so much, and I'm just, oh my gosh, I just can't stop talking about it because I love it so much. I also have a book review on it, so I'll link that down below, and I love Sea Witch so much, and I know I cried, but this is one of the best fairy tale retellings that I've ever read this year. The next one I got is Daughter of the Pirate King by Trisha Levenseller. Of course, you guys know that I can't stop talking about it because I really enjoyed it. Plus, female pirates, come on. And I know I haven't read Daughter of the Siren Queen yet, which is my to-do list, but I haven't gotten to it because I'm so behind on other sequels that I want to read, and I recommend this to anybody who is looking for piratey read, because I know before Daughter of the Pirate King, there's not a lot of YA books that's about pirates in general, because the only pirate story that I thought of was Treasure Island, which is one of these collectible editions that I have from Barnes & Noble. But this, I recommend this to anybody because I think everybody should read it. Also, another underrated read. Speaking of pirates, the last book that I'm going to be talking about is Seafire by Natalie C. Parker. This book is different from Daughter of the Pirate King, it does have pirates in it, yes, and female pirates, yes. But there is, like, war between other pirates in this book, and that's what happens because one of the crew's looking for the members of their family. Oh, that magnet fell down! Oh my gosh, please stay for me. Okay, sorry about that. I got spooked there. But anyways, this book is also underrated. Also another pirate story. Like both of the books I've mentioned, if you're looking for piratey reads, read Seafire and Star of the Pirate King because they're both really good. So that's all for my favorite fantasy books of this year. If you enjoyed this video, give us a thumbs up and comment down below some of your favorite fantasy books because I want to know, because I know there are a lot of fantasy books on my TBR, and if you guys want to help me out, because I'm going to be making a list of books that I want to read next year, so I'm going to have like a TBR type of video for the books that I want to read next year. Also, let me know in the comments down below some fantasy books that should be on top of my TBR because I am so behind on my TBR with school and everything, but I have one semester left until I graduate college, which I'm really happy about. But anyways, if you want to follow me on social media, I have Facebook under Lost Reader, and I have Twitter and Instagram on Lost Reader 19. I also have Goodreads, which I'll link down below. If you don't want to miss any of my new videos, hit subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!